and welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with friends, get your gaming goodness each and every week. Try not to laugh because I, for some reason, started singing Everything is Awesome right before doing the show intro, and then Kieran came in right then. I don't know if you heard, I'm not going to delete it with a chanting join in, so we'll just make it part of the show at this point. I don't actually know. Here's the thing. Like, so we just came off recording Arcade Couch between cushions. Don't forget to go listen to that on our good podcast feeds. Didn't talk about the Lego movie. Didn't say anything about it. I have no idea.
I don't know where you started it.
I don't know. Somewhere between the ending of that and then like the minute it took to start recording this show.
Not even like, we didn't even say anything. You just said everything is awesome. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's just
maybe I said the word awesome or something, or I don't know.
Maybe. I haven't even watched that movie for like ages. So very confusing. Anyway, good start to the show. This week, it's just me and Kieran. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. the intro got thrown for a banger, but that's fine. Today on the show, showcases and cults. And by showcases, I mean THQ Showcase, Splatoon 3, a couple other things. Kieran's going to talk about Pressure Water Simulator. I don't know what the fuck that is, but...
Pressure Water Simulator?
Whatever you said it was called.
It was, I don't know. It's like, I think it's Power Washer Simulator.
Okay, whatever that game is that I've seen people talk about, so you can tell me what the fuck that is. Firstly, reviews. Cult of the Lamb review posted by Jacob up on the website. 9.5 out of 10. Very good. Obviously, been looking forward to this game for quite some time. Very happy when he sent through his review and spoke very highly of it. I've played... not quite an hour, probably. So, because it only came out. What day did it come out? Friday? I think Friday. Anyway, so I haven't played a bunch yet, but he said, I was excited to see this game be released as Melbourne-based studio, Massive Monster. Sorry, also produced another one of my favorite games is Adventure Pals, which shares a similar aesthetic but is much friendlier platformer. I've been keen to play Cult of the Lamb for a long time and it hasn't disappointed me. The art design, audio, and gameplay loop remain satisfying, while the concepts and the base building create enough things to do to round out the gameplay, so I never felt bored. The team at Massive Monster should be proud of their achievements, and I cannot wait to see what they create next. So yeah, in case you've somehow been in the dark about this game, it was published by Devolver Digital. It was coded by Massive Monster, this Australian studio, little Australian studio. Again, I want to clarify, for a game that's like doing massive, Australia continues to put out these bangers that get published and do really well around the world, but they're made by these small Australian games, predominantly coming with just a handful of people involved in, which is always cool to see. But it has cute aesthetic where you play as this lamb, and you're in charge and you're starting this cult. So the game actually starts. It's a wild start to a game. You play and the lamb's like being led to slaughter by these gods who are like, oh, the prophecy won't be fulfilled now because apparently it's some prophecy about lambs or some weird shit. Anyway, the game story is wild. And then they're like, so they go to kill you, but then there's like other god saves you right as you're about to be slaughtered. And he's like, I'll spare your life if you build a cult for me, because he wants a cult so he can come back to life and like kill these other gods or some shit. So then you start this cult, and the gameplay is built into like sort of two sections. So you have, when you're going through dungeons, it's sort of, I guess, most like a Binding of Isaac or, like Hades or whatever. You sort of these randomized dungeons that you're going through. You clear a few rooms of enemies. There's like a randomized weapon at the start of them, stuff like that. You've got dodge, attack, all that stuff. It feels really good to play, like simple but really fun. You've got like a ranged attack that's similar to Hades. Once you use, has if you kill the enemy, then you get the energy back for it, sort of thing. So similar to Hades, that's what was reminding me of Hades for that part. And then once you go through few areas, you'll like a map appears between areas of dungeon where you can actually choose to go, like it'll have a symbol with like person. So if you choose to go to that room, there'll be someone there who you can save and you can get them to join your cult and bring them back. There may be another area where it's like got a gold symbol. So, if you go to that area, you could be trying to get a lot of gold on this run of the dungeon. There could be another area where there's like a food symbol and you're trying to you want to get food resources to bring back to your people at your base, sort of thing. They're like, the goal of the game is to kill all four gods and like, I guess, bring back this god that helped save your life or some shit. But once you all bring them back, the other element of the game is this base building sort of area thing So you can, when you have people join your cult, you can assign them jobs. So you can assign someone to spend all their time chopping wood, spend all their time mining rock for you, so you can have those resources in a chest when you come back. You can do it yourself too, but of course that's happening in the background while you're out dungeoneering. And then you can assign people once you've built a little prayer statue thing of yourself, like a giant like lamb thing, and they'll just sit there praying to you. And then when you come back, you can get resources from that, which is like prayer resources or something, and use that to unlock other things you can build. Like, as I said, I only played like an hour, so the last thing I unlocked was like I brought like unlocked sleeping bags, and I can build that so then my followers have somewhere to sleep, which makes them happy. Your followers can get hungry, they can turn on you, and then I've seen in videos like you can have heretics come through later in the game and they'll show up and they'll be like saying, "You're the false god" and stuff, and then you can be like, "Well, fuck you," and I think you can like kick them out and kill them and stuff. So like the game has like a very dark aesthetic, but it's very like sort of cute art style, and it's very charming with the way the how everything's portrayed. But yeah, I'm very much enjoying it. I've been very much looking forward to this for quite some time. So seeing everyone online giving it really high scores, including ourselves, of course, 9.5. Don't forget to go read Jacob's review. But I've seen lots of, really high scores around the board. Really cool to see for a game that I've said this story at least a couple times here, but it's just really funny to think that this game was at like the first PAX or second PAX that was at. They had it there. They had like a proof of concept, I think, of this game, and they were like, please, like this, you can play it, but like don't really talk about it, or like don't record it, like, because they were just like sort of showing off, I guess, to get feedback. And remember, and playing the core gameplay, there's not much difference between now and then. A lot more features have been added, of course, but the core concept of, hey, the dungeoneering, the dungeon aspect, like that gameplay was definitely on show 5 years ago, whenever that was, when we first played it. So yeah, very, very cool. I've seen a lot of people say it's the game of the year so far, which, beating Elden Ring, crazy. But yeah, have you seen much of this? Is this anything on your radar? Or?
You've kind of convinced me into buying it though.
Fuck, you're easy though. I mean, you should be, because like everyone is loving this game, so it's not like it's a random game.
I don't know. It is. I don't know. I guess the character of it is. I love the shit out of Hades. How's the other important thing of Hades? I always found. How is the music? Or the soundtrack.
Music so far is decent, but as I said, I've only played an hour, so I don't know. Like, nothing.
Not memorable.
Yeah, I have enough to have too much.
That's fine. It's still something fun to play and do, and it's something different.
I don't think it's super expensive either. I think it was $35.
No, it's like $30. I'm looking at on Steam. So
that's good, and you're supporting homegrown talent.
Devolver.
Yeah. No, fuck Devolver. You're supporting Australian studio. It's hard though, because we get into this conversation quite often around like what counts as an indie game. Is it an indie game if Devolver's publishing it? And I would say no, not really. Like I feel like if Devolver's publishing this game itself, Call of the Lamb, isn't technically an indie game because they had the backing of a big publisher, but it's still the studio isn't owned by Devolver, so they're still an indie studio. I feel like that's you know what I mean? Like the game can be non-indie, but the studio still can be, if that makes.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
I think that's sort of how I look at it. But that's very cool. Then the one review I put up this week, I played Lost in Play, which is a sort of old school. It's like an adventure game. It's like old school point and click sort of adventure game. I played it with a controller though, but you can play it with mouse and keyboard, of course. It even suggests controller. I think that's because of some of the mini games and stuff. But that's I say point and click. You know what type of game I'm saying. This has shown up in a bunch of sort of indie. Conference sort of things over the last year or so. The art style is always the standout thing if you watch the trailer. It's meant to look like this sort of early morning cartoon. It very much does. It has this very distinct, wonderful art style. The story is... Well, it's hard because it doesn't really have a story, and it does. Like there is this... It's about this brother-sister going on this massive journey, and there's orcs and trolls and dragons, all this stuff, but none of it's real. So, which is sort of like the plus and negative of this game. It is a game about, as the title says, Lost in Play. It's these kids going on an adventure. They're running around. It's all make-believe, but you're playing out their make-believe things. So, like, from that aspect, it's fun, but I also feel because of that, like, there's no stakes really to anything that's happening because like it's all...
It's not one of these games that has like the children have a darker kind of family story or something going on the side while the imagination is covering that up. No,
it's just it is like very much...
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's nothing...
like I don't remember if it was in the Wholesome Direct. It probably was, but the game is very much fits into that wholesome Like it's just meant to be fun. But if you like the genre, I definitely feel like it's something definitely worth checking out. If you like these sorts of games. I played it all in one sitting. I can't remember how long it took me, maybe like between 5 to 6 hours. I just did it in one day. So that was pretty fun. You could probably do it a lot less. I got stuck on a few puzzles, nothing super hard. There is a hint system. I often found, so if one of your complaints about these games is the obtuse thing of, because you'll have the thing where it's like, oh, this character, to get past this character, they need a red hat. To get the red hat, you have to go talk to someone else, and then to get the thing off them, like the typical adventure game thing, and you gotta, all that sort of stuff. Like, none of that's super convoluted to the point it gets really annoying, but some of the mini games, because they break up the combat or the core gameplay by having a bunch of mini games throughout all the levels, which are really cool. But some of those puzzles sort of lost me at certain points where I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing here? Like, that's cool. It looks great, sounds great. I can't remember how much it is. I'm sorry. Not that much. Anyway, it's on Switch and the PCs. So play it wherever you want. But I gave it 7.0. So you can check out my review for that. Explosionhour.com. Let's jump into this week's news. I want to start with the THQ NORDIC Showcase that happened this morning. We're recording on Saturday. There's not too much on this I actually want to talk about, but I'll just run down the actual things of note. I woke up at 4:45, watched this. It started at 5. Was like, that was not worth it. Went back to sleep. But
let's be honest, you watched it for like one reason. And
I would have watched it either way because I feel like it's part of the gig is I got to get up and fucking cover these things for the website. I feel almost obligated. But the one thing I was hoping for was more information about AEW's game, which we can just start with that if you want. I don't really fucking care about doing it.
Yeah, sure.
So AEW Fight Forever was in the back end, like one of the last couple of games. Unfortunately, the trailer that was shown here actually leaked last week, and that was half the problem. It leaked
very massively.
Yes. So, and there was nothing new here. So that was the major disappointment thing. The trailer is Tony Schiavone come down the hallway, Britt Baker, previous World Women's Champion for AEW, says, come in here. They show off the game a little bit. He's playing Adam Cole. She's playing herself, which is funny because, they're together. So she's beating the shit out of her partner. Good joke. They then show off some mini games, which is fine. Looks silly, but I think obviously they know that it looks silly. It's meant to be the point. The game still looks visually rough, which I'm still not too worried about, solely because the game they still didn't give a release date. So until, if they were like, this is out next month, I'd be like, ooh, I don't think. But at the moment, I'll just say it's their first game. Let's just until I have no reason to completely doubt them until, I'm just, let's just see how we go. However, I will say again that I am much more likely to enjoy it. If the game does look like this, but it plays phenomenally, it plays really, really well, but the character models still just look like a PS3 game, I'm fine with that, to be honest. But if it was the opposite way, it looks amazing, but plays like shit, then I can't handle that. If it plays very well, I can. Yes, that's the major thing I'm super interested in. But what are your thoughts at the moment on this?
I'm both worried or not that I was worried. I guess the biggest problem with this game is something that's completely out of its control. I think this game had a very positive view of it and was set up for success 12 months ago before WWE had a game that was good. And there'd been all this history of wrestling games, especially WWE's 2K games, just sucking and being abysmal. And I feel like when AEW were originally announcing their game, I think a lot of people were like, man, great, we're finally going to have a good wrestling game. We're going to have something that is based off wrestling games that we really loved as a kid. And now that we've had WWE 2K 23, yeah, it was 23.
Whatever.
Was it 22? It's 22. It's 22. Whatever the last WWE was. And that game is great and is kind of universally loved by wrestling fans. I think it just puts Fight Forever in just a harder spot. Hopefully it plays really well and has... I'm interested to find out about the roster. I think AEW has a problem where its roster is forever changing and is ever being altered throughout its life.
let's hope. My
always
one
new
asterisk
people.
on that is they're not planning to put out a bunch of these games every couple of years, and they're just planning to update the roster and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm interested to find out what the roster size is, as well as the roster itself is in the game. I feel like we're still, considering how close this game is to release, we're still very lacking on information.
Well, we still don't know. They reckon it was going to come out this year, but they still haven't said a release date. So they just said coming soon.
They haven't set a release date. I just think, it is. We're still not kind of. Is there a campaign mode? Is it just a normal career mode?
Yeah, there is. They announced the modes. There is a career mode. They announced the mode. Hold on, I'll get the full list up. But if you want to keep talking, if you have other thoughts, I'll find it.
Yes. No. So I think, my favorite part of my favorite WB games, I missed kind of Shut Your Mouth and everything in the later PS2 stage. I jumped on during SmackDown versus Raw with the wrestling games that I really got into. And I love the campaigns in those where it kind of buys into wrestling, not quote unquote being real, but it buys into the stories and like is playing through different stories and wrestling through different situations. I absolutely adore those. I know, especially AEW, but wrestling games in general come at it from a perspective of fans being in the know a little bit more nowadays and not being hidden behind kayfabe as much. But I hope there is still that form of storytelling, that form of interaction and story that I think is going to be a lot better from an AEW game than it is from a WWE game, because WWE creative in general, but especially as a whole, is just very over the top and very kind of, as a fan, you have to dumb yourself down a fair bit some of the times for a lot of its storytelling ways.
For AEW in general? Or
no, for WWE.
Oh,
WWE.
Okay.
No, WWE storylines is general. AEW as a whole, good. There is its bad moments of storytelling. But also when AEW does its like finer long form storytelling, it's fucking amazing. It is some of the best stuff.
So, Deep Career Mode was listed on the most recent press release. Deep Career Mode, wrestler customization, signature AEW arenas, and then list of match types: single, tag team, 3-way, 4-way, ladder, casino battle royale, false count anywhere, unsanctioned lights out, exploding barbed wire deathmatch.
Hopefully that one is a lot better than it is in real life. It's always terrible. But it's always funny. Yeah. The unsanctioned lights out match, I'm always like, where's the differential in this match? Where is between it and like a no DQ or a force count anyway? Like,
it doesn't count. Well, the difference is that it doesn't count for your record. So I presume that's going to be the same in the real game. So if you do it in a career mode and you reach a point in the career mode where you do an unsanctioned lights out mode, they could do it for a story reason and not have it actually.
Yes.
So.
But to have it like listed as a game mode that you could play like multiplayer of, I just think is very.
I feel like for the people who like doing like their own wrestling leagues and stuff.
Oh, and like GM modes.
And stuff. If you set up a character, you would do an unsanctioned lights out mode if you're doing a storyline with your own characters and wrestlers, where they have a grudge match and like they've done an actual thing. So I feel like for fans, having it there is cool because if you have the following is an unsanctioned lights out, when the lights go off and come back on, the following will not be whatever, all that sort of shit. So yeah, I feel like that's the only reason, because otherwise it's like false count anywhere and unsanctioned lights out. There's barely any difference other than what it means to your record and what it means in the story 100%. Sense. Yeah. But yeah, I'm keen. A little bit disappointed that we didn't get more, but I'm still keen. All right, so everything else, I'll just go back up the top here. What they start with? So they started with Alone in the Dark. This leaked like 12 hours before the conference, but so a remake of the original 1992 Alone in the Dark game is coming. It actually looks pretty cool. So I don't have like a lot of history of Alone in the Dark. I only ever played the PS3 one, which I think was like the last game ever released in the franchise before it killed it.
Same was there. Because I always feel like Alone in the Dark lost to Resident Evil. I feel like you either played Alone in the Dark or you played Resident Evil, and most people played Resident Evil.
Yeah. Even though they're both, I think this is technically first. I think that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a remake of the first game, but definitely a lot more modern. It's got like a third-person shooting and all this sort of stuff. However, you can see throughout the trailer, it's keeping a lot of elements from the first game as well. It has it looks to have puzzles and all this stuff that the original game would have had in '92 when it released. It looks decent. I could get down for this. I don't have a long lineage, as I say, in history for the franchise, but the story seems interesting. The combination of the spooky stuff and the puzzles while having monsters to shoot, and it is literally your Resident Evil over the shoulder third-person combat. So I feel like if this comes out and it's decent and runs well and whatever else, it's definitely going to hit a spot for your Resident Evil fans and stuff like that. Could you see yourself potentially playing this?
Probably not. Really? I don't know. I don't have that nostalgia factor with Alone in the Dark. I remember there being another remake or a version of this coming like the PS2 era at some point. But no, I'm not. Probably not.
Fair. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobe got a trailer. Yep, looks like a game. The first one was fine. Remake. The second one is weird, but the storyline for the second one is literally that the KGB kills of a crypto or something. I can't remember how it works now. Anyway, and then a different crypto comes down. But yeah, it looks fine. It looks like a remake of the second game, much like the first one looked like a remake of that. And I enjoyed it for what it was. This looks similar to that, I guess. Yeah. Space for Sale. This looks kind of fun. So it was described as a build-up simulation game. You play as like a cute little astronaut. I thought it looked cute. You go around, collect resources, build colonies and stuff. Apparently you brought this entire solar system, so fucking rich as apparently. I don't know, but yeah, looked different enough. Could be good. Don't really know. Not much to it, but then they showed a new trailer for Gothic 1 remake, which I'm still very confused because they show trailers and it clearly just says Gothic, but then every time they're talking about it in the showcase, they're referring it to Gothic 1 remake. I'm like, okay, so in my article, do I write Gothic or do I write Gothic 1 remake? What are you using as your SEO terminology? Nonetheless, trailer looked fine. It looks like this is nothing new. We've known about this game since last year. I think that's when they announced it at the THQ Showcase last year. The trailer just shows them going, because again, this is a game I have nothing for. I never played it back in the day. I've Wikipedia'd the plot last year when they announced it. It's all set in this mine or some shit, like monster shop and stuff goes crazy. It looks fine. It was a decent trailer, but yeah, nothing. My thoughts haven't changed. And then we got into a whole bunch of RTS / strategy game section here. So Jagged Alliance 3, The Valiant, Tempest Rising, Knights of Honor 2, Sovereign. So you got a few. It was a whole section. And I'm watching this live and the chat's like, boring, AEW. There was a lot of AEW people watching that stream last night. This morning, I'll tell you.
It's one of those things that just... this is going to be offensive probably to the RTS section, but all of those games in a row, they scream to me.
They blend together.
They blend together, but then it just reminds me when I was a kid and going into any retail store that had computers and technology and stuff, they'd have a PC game section and it would just be filled with games like this. A bunch of games you've never heard of, but all just being random, and they'd have a weird
But on
PC
the box it would have
sticker.
10 out of 10 IGN and stuff. I'm
yeah.
Cool, I guess, but I still have no interest. It's unfortunate. But there was one here, this one, I think this is Tempest Rising one, which is it says it's being done by 3D Realms or whatever. It was a massive heavy metal trailer, and everyone in the chat was going, it's Duke Nukem, it's Duke Nukem. It wasn't Duke Nukem.
God.
I was like, it's not Duke Nukem, they don't own the license anymore. So that was the thing. But otherwise, yeah. Look, all the games look fine. It's just, I find showcasing these games and trailers hard because they all, they either play well or they don't or whatever. Also, one of these trailers, I can't remember if it was this one. Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember. One of them. It might have been. It may have been Jagged Alliance 3. It has this woman doing let me just click on it quickly. See. Yeah, at the start of this trailer, she's doing this whole thing, and they skip to about 33 seconds in. She her computer gets hacked, and then this person starts talking to her on the computer who's hacked, and they've used the very generic text-to-speech voice, and everyone in chat was losing their shit over it. Instead of using a different version of like a robotic voice. It is we have tracked your okay, like everything you would hear if you ever watch a Twitch streamer doing a live, it's just the generic text to speech audio. I'm like, why would you do that? So it was a weird decision. Outcast 2 New Beginning got a trailer. Again, this is a game they talked about last time. They announced it. It looks fine. I don't really know. It's apparently 20 years old, the first one. Recreation. This looks kind of cool. So this is, I think, Freefields Entertainment's first game, this new studio. However, I know it's like there's a bunch of people working that used to work on like Burnout and Need for Speed and like a bunch of other big sort of car properties. So they say that you've got 400 square kilometer open world game in this. I have no idea what that means and how that works. You got customization of tracks. Apparently you can build on the tracks while people are racing on them. I don't know. It looks potentially has like, I don't know. Sounds like it has potential. I need to see and hear more, but it was a lot of buzzwords going on without, like just talking about how big it is and whatever else. Way of the Hunter, it's a hunting game. If that's something you care about. Stumpfest World Tour. Like it just looked like a hunting game. I don't know what else to say. Like it looks like a hunting game. It's just you're hunting deer and shit. I fucking don't know. Stumpfest World Tour still looks good. Looks it's crazy. It's a game where you bounce off shit. You fucking fly. You turn into a car. You're a transformer. Looks crazy. I hope it runs well. And then SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake was the game that closed out the show. Look, this looks good. I didn't play the remake. You did the review of the first one, Rehydrated, whatever it was called. I believe this is a brand new game, or else I'm lying out of my ass because that's what I wrote in the article.
No, it looks new.
Yeah, so this is from the same studio that did Rehydrated, but this is kind of that. This is what we hope when they do those remakes. The remake does well. They use the money from it. They make a new entry. Sort of like a fresh idea. So, but the general idea for the game is that SpongeBob and friends are being transported to all these different worlds, which means you're going to have this varied locations and different he gets different costumes and abilities depending on what world you're in and whatever else. I thought it looked good. As someone who likes SpongeBob and someone who likes these sorts of platforming games, what do you think?
Look, as long as the sins of the father don't pass down to the sins of the son, Rehydrated was a polished PS2 game, which, you get that as a remaster, but at the same time, I just hope they use a lot more modern-day techniques and modern-day level design and gameplay design on this game. SpongeBob, I remember Battle for Bikini Bottom originally was a great game. It was really fun. It just didn't age very well. So as long as they capture that same feeling with this, I don't think really modern day versions of these games in general don't do very well. And I think that's just because of the general kind of gist of this. I don't want to say the form of adventure game went out of fashion. But I think in one way or another, these very cartoony, very, I don't want to say basic adventure platform games have just not been in vogue. But yeah, hopefully with the SpongeBob licensing and the overall ability for it around it, I hope it does. Yeah, well.
Yeah. I can't remember when this is. Did they put a release date in there? No.
Nope.
Okay, good. I was like, I can't remember if they said, but they didn't. And then the weirdest thing was when they ended the show, they were like, literally, peace out, we're gone. Come up with the thing at the end of the showcase, and it's like like a bunch of text, music starts playing. Everyone's probably closed out their browser by this point. It says, blah, blah, blah. At the moment, THQ, NORDIC, and its partners have 26, 50-something games in development. That means 26 still haven't been shown. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, the screen crackles and it comes up with the South Park Digital Studios logo. And then the screen goes back to the same text. And then a whiteboard marker goes over where it says 26 unannounced games and goes to 25. And I'm like, so you're counting showing the South Park Digital Studios logo as you just announced a game?
Yep.
So, yeah, apparently there's a South Park game coming. THQ's publishing it. So, there you go. But it was just a weird, it was not like a second after the stream ended. It was like 10, 15 seconds. I guarantee a lot of people clicked off by the point. It was just a weird.
They would have clicked off with the people saying goodbye and everything.
Yeah.
With the president.
Yeah, they said bye. The camera started panning out, music starts playing and all that sort of stuff. It was just weird. So anyway, there's no South Park game coming. It's not. You don't have to get it off Ubisoft's because
Yeah.
They will not be publishing this one, apparently. Cool. Yep, so that was the THQ thing. Again, it was fine. It was nothing super exciting. There wasn't with the last one either, to be honest. So there's a couple little things here and there, but otherwise, whatever. And then I'll quickly want to go over Splatoon. Again, I'm not like a mass. I only played a little bit of Splatoon 2. I could potentially see myself getting more into 3 just from launch and like jumping aboard. So I did watch the showcase thing that they had the other day. A bunch of it was very much like, yep, cool. That looks like Splatoon. That sounds like Splatoon. Cool. The major changes, I guess. Oh, what the fuck are they? I've got there because I went over everything. So there's a single player mode, which is called Return to the Mamelons or something, however you say it, which is looks like a very simple story mode. They do describe it as a great place for new players to start, which is fine. I feel like having something like that so you get used to the controls and stuff before you jump into multiplayer is cool, and it's going to build up around the game's lore or whatever else. Then they went over Turf War, which is again the key gameplay, like sort of your typical deathmatch equivalent for Splatoon or whatever, where you got 2 teams of 4 people battling out who can squirt the most ink over stuff and win. They went over a couple of new moves, which are really cool, including a move where you can, like, if you dodge at the right second, it'll actually deflect ink that was about to hit you. So I'm like, oh, that's cool for like a game that's like, this is one of Nintendo's only sort of competitive games. Yes. Having something like that is definitely cool. So and then the main other cool things was they announced that a tabletop card game is going to be included in this for some fucking reason, which I'm like, I'm sure. Just what I need in my life. And then what was it fucking called? I'm trying to remember what it's called. I can't fucking find it. I have it somewhere in my Turf? No, not Turf War. Something else. Anarchy? Oh, no. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, there's this other mode where you do it. It's like 3 teams battle it out, and then it's like 2 rounds or whatever. And then when you go into the second half of the round, the winning team starts in the middle of the field, but it's only 2 players, and then the other 2 teams get to start on each side of them, and the winning team has to sort of defend their victory at like a handicap. Like that sounded, yeah. So there was like that was sort of cool, I thought. So, but overall, yeah, it looks like Splatoon, more Splatoon. They kept talking about it like it's the last game in the franchise too. Like, this is the last Splatoon stuff. I'm like, okay, well, just apparently, is that really what we're gonna do? Even if this one does really good, that's fine. And then Nintendo did say they have plans for free updates every 3 months. They're going to support it for at least 2 years. There will be a paid DLC eventually down the line, which I think is fine. Like, depending on the company, announcing paid DLC before a game's out is weird.
With Nintendo, I guess you kind of know it won't be paid DLC. It'll either be paid DLC or if you've got that Nintendo Online.
Yeah, it'll be, yeah. So
it'll just be
because they brought out a paid DLC for Splatoon 2, which added like this single player ish element thing to it, which they then did add to the Nintendo Online expansion when that actually came out. So that's what that'll be, I presume, something of that stature and that size. And then the other thing is on August 27th or 28th. Fuck, I can't remember which one it is. I can't find it quick enough. One of those days, though, is you can play it. You can try it out. They're going to like have a free, but you can download it. I already clicked on my Switch, like pre-download or whatever, redeem for it. So you can, they're going to have like I think it's a day or 2 over the weekend, like sort of trial run sort of thing. Jump in, try out the games to see if it's for you. And that's ahead of the game's full release on September 9th. So I'm definitely going to download that, give it a go. See how I go, but yeah, they announced a whole bunch of new characters and whatever else, and some characters were showing up, and I saw people in chat being like, "Oh my god, they look so much older now," or something. So I guess for the people who care about the lore and stuff, there is stuff happening that just completely goes straight over my head, but that's fine. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Splatoon?
I don't think I've ever really played Splatoon. I think it's a great IP for Nintendo. I always felt with Splatoon that Nintendo was trying really fucking hard for it to be its quote-unquote next kind of flagship IP. Like, it was supposed to kind of reach the equivalents of your Marios and your Zeldas and stuff like that. I never feel like it's actually reached that mark. But it's an interesting idea. It's a fun gameplay loop. I think, I remember either Splatoon 1 or Splatoon 2 had quite an in-depth story mode, like career mode, that was actually had a decent story to it, even though you were just playing CPU bots around it. But yeah, overall, I think Splatoon is great, and it's good to see more and more iterations of it coming out. And I will say Nintendo do seem to at least have it down a little bit more with long-form communication of what their plan is and a roadmap and setting expectations for their audiences, which is not like Nintendo normally. Kind of the past Nintendo would never do something like that. So it does show some positive learning from them.
Yeah, it's done like in a world where a lot of Nintendo's new IPs quite often fail. Arms. Like Splatoon's like I think their last the success, yeah, as far as the new IP goes. So. All right, so then we got this. I just want to talk about this Forspoken thing. I don't know if you'd seen this when it was happening. I saw
bits and pieces of this.
I thought it was it's just funny. Like, so IGN writes, the internet can't get enough of the latest promo video for Forspoken, the upcoming action RPG from Square Enix and Luminous Productions. However, it's not the most positive reception as people are poking at the new trailer by making parodies of it. It all started when the official Forspoken Twitter account posted a new ad for the game. The promo shows snippets of gameplay featuring a voiceover from the protagonist Frey. Many people on the internet are finding the dialogue incredibly campy, with the most liked reply to Forspoken's original post saying, quote, "This game looks beautiful and the gameplay looks crazy, but boy do I bet that story/dialogue will get on my nerves." So the trailer plays out and the dialogue, they've got it here, says, "So let me get this straight. I'm somewhere that's not what I would call Earth. I'm seeing freaking dragons and, oh yeah, I'm talking to a cuff. Yeah, that's not something I do now. I do magic, kill jacked up beasts. I'll probably fly next." Yeah, it's like, I'm excited for this game, but even I remember like clicking and watching this when it got posted, and I was like, this is weird. Like, that's weird. I don't recall any of the previous trailers having this odd thing. My favorite, I don't know if you follow at ProZD, Sungwon Cho, that he does like funny
ProZD.
Yeah, ProZD. He did like a funny parody of it where he like put on a Mario hat and everything, and I think he was like, "So you're telling me I'm in this land where there's these giant Goombas, and like, you know, like
if I throw my hat at it, it kills them, but then I might turn into a dinosaur next." Yeah, and then if you at the end of it, he also does Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Where he puts thing in his face. He's like, "I'm talking to a raccoon."
So it's quite funny. So look. Usually I come on here and be like, the internet's doing something mean. Let's stop doing mean. But I know, this is kind of funny.
My favorite is this one of a picture of Sora from Kingdom Hearts. "So let me get this straight. I'm somewhere that's not what I would call Tokyo. I have a giant frickin' key. And oh yeah, I'm talking to a dead mobile game character." This is well memed. I think there was also one at the top of that, the IGN article about somebody memeing with Bloodborne. There's a giant freaking werewolf, and I'm not in England. It is. You know what? Once in a while, I feel bad for trailer designers, especially those who aren't natively Western or.
This is definitely from the marketing department, so
like where it's like they're not quite like they're not understanding where their trailer's going to get memed to shit out of. And yes, it could, as a whole thing, the marketing team's probably like, "This is fucking great. Our game is being talked about by all these people in one way or another." It's like, yeah, it's the same point. It's getting memed to shit, and maybe your game's getting taken less seriously because of it, or it's a little bit of a worrying look for your writing if this is how your trailer comes across. But I think overall, it's a positive thing, really.
Final news story for the week. Microsoft accuses Sony of blocking games from Gamepass, writes Kotaku. Last week, Microsoft argued to Brazilian regulators that Call of Duty was not an essential game series, while Sony protested that it was. In the latest episode of the Activision Blizzard acquisition drama going down in Brazil, Microsoft accused the PlayStation manufacturer of trying to, quote, inhibit growth of Game Pass. Microsoft has been trying to convince regulatory agencies around the world that its acquisition of Activision Blizzard is not unfair to its competitors within the gaming industry. Now, as spotted by The Verge, it is claiming that Sony pays developers not to put their games on the Xbox makers' subscription service. Quote, "Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been hampered by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. Sony pays for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription service. End quote. Platform exclusivity deals are common in the game industry, and it's ambiguous whether this refers to clause that might prevent games from appearing on Xbox services during its exclusivity period or stricter terms. A document relating to PlayStation exclusivity came out of the Capcom leaks, and a page there indicates that exclusives could not appear on the rivals to PlayStation's subscription services. These included Google Stadia, Gamepass, and similar services. Kotaku reached out to both Microsoft and Sony, but did not receive responses by the time of publishing. Sony has previously been critical of Microsoft's hold on the gaming market, etc., etc., etc. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's fair. I don't know. I think Sony is... I really don't see Sony winning this appeal. Like, I don't see them making much of a dent. I find it very funny. I would recommend anybody, if you have time, go and find the translated version of this document because it's originally in is it Spanish or Brazilian? I think it's Spanish. They speak Spanish. Or Portuguese. No. It's Portuguese in Brazil. There we go. Knowing my geographical languages. But this whole article is so fucking snarky from Xbox. It is so, like, even to the point where they're like, maybe some free advice if Sony want to, they could try. Well, it starts off with saying how Sony has built their console and their fan base on this entire idea of impeding other games by keeping all of their first-party titles solely and exclusively on PlayStation, and how they have built their culture on this. And then I think it was, and if they want to grow their version of Game Pass, the new PlayStation Plus subscription, maybe they could go ahead and put some of these exclusive games available day one on that service for free. And just bits and pieces, and it's just written in a very snarky and very kind of to the point manner that is quite funny to see in a kind of very legal document. I don't know. I think it is... Let's be honest, and let's talk it from real. Sony's not happy that it's going to lose its kind of exclusive deals with Call of Duty, and that it has done very well in the past from having its timed exclusive deals with Call of Duty throughout the lifespans of the PS4 and the PlayStation 5. I don't believe that Xbox would ever... I don't think Xbox would keep Call of Duty to itself. I think it would still have Call of Duty on the PlayStation. It wouldn't confirm that or deny that so far, but I feel like it would just flip it so the exclusive content would just be on Game Pass, and Game Pass would get it earlier. I don't believe they would keep it to themselves, so this is just Sony trying to fight that and trying to maintain the status quo for how it was. I think, to me, this screams Sony trying to have its cake and eat it too, a little bit, in terms of, you guys can't do that, even though we've got these other things, and we probably would have bought Blizzard if we'd had the opportunity to do that. But because you guys are doing it, no, you can't do that. I don't know. I feel like it doesn't feel like something that I could see being sustained. And yes, we can go into the conversation of is the mass purchasing of developers by one or two or three different groups a positive thing or a negative for the industry. But I think in this case, I'm overly positive. I'm excited for Microsoft to take care of Blizzard. Yes, it's probably something of a bias from me because I'm a Blizzard fan. I'm a Microsoft fan. I'm excited for them to change that company for the better and to bring in improvements across the board to Blizzard and Activision. But no, I think this is a very... I don't want to call it petty, but I feel like it's very much Sony's kind of trying everything they can to try and block it and step in the front of, which is very interesting when, as a whole, Microsoft and Xbox has been quite positive towards Sony in recent years. And yes, you could say that's just because they are losing or they're not in a position to be competitive. But, even recently, I think I read an article where Phil Spencer said the next game he was excited to play was God of War Ragnarok, which is not even a game on his console systems.
A lot of those heads people from both companies will be like that though, but they're not making every single decision. And like Phil isn't suddenly 100%. Turning around and being like, no, go fight them. Like,
yeah.
So
no, 100%. How are you feeling about it?
Oh yeah, I feel like so I don't really care that they're buying. I think that everything with Activision Blizzard will go through. Doesn't really bother me. I definitely feel like it is a massive purchase that if someone like Sony doesn't at least point to the regulatory committees and go, can you double check on that? Then like, I feel like that's fine. Like there's like, it's a huge purchase. Yes. Like you are their competition. You are within like I feel like with a mass purchase like that being like, hey, can someone like, can we make sure this is fine? Like, did someone like, because this is no different than when we went for all the stuff with Marvel and Fox and all this other shit 100%. With Disney, where it's like these old things. Everyone had all these questions. All the other movie companies, they all did similar things where it was like, hey, can we run that through? Like, can a committee check that over to make sure this is like legal and like all these sorts of things. So like, if you're in the business, I feel like there's an element of like just.
I'm curious. I haven't looked into it. I meant to. Why this is going through in Brazil? When
there is a reason.
The company is
where is it? This is Microsoft. Blah blah blah. Why is it happening? I don't actually know. I can't remember. I can't find it fast enough.
I don't know. I meant to look into it and I never got a chance to. But yeah, why is it taking place in Brazil?
I'm trying to go to VGC because I think they had it. Sony believes Call of Duty, blah, blah, according to official. Sony believes Call of Duty could inspire users to switch to Xbox following Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This is an article from the 1st of August, VGC. That's according to the company's official response to question from the Brazil Regulatory Board, which, like many regions, is currently studying the proposed deal for approval. So that's the thing. Brazil... So that's how it looks like. Yeah. So Brazil's regulatory board is checking it over nonetheless, and Sony is then jumping on the go. We don't like it either. They're not the one. So
okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So it's not a leading the pitchforks or anything. It's like that's what I'm saying. Like these things are getting checked over, and I feel like Sony. Yeah. Look. That's the thing. Like I feel like as a company, as competition, if you don't get your 2 cents in, like.
I get Sony being like, hey, check this over. To me, and maybe it's just because of the type of language they have to use and the way they have to come about it with legal, but there's a difference between, hey, can you check to make this as cool, and saying, hey, Call of Duty is an important property that deserves to be everywhere. And that one company having pure ownership of it is a negative thing for the whole industry.
Yeah, like the quote is that Sony is saying that Call of Duty is a franchise which influences users' console choice. So their argument is solely about Call of Duty. They don't really care about everything else. It's just Call of Duty is such a big game.
To that, I think that is where I get the pettiness from Sony, or like the kind of the clutching at straws to desperately stop this. If they were going all of Activision Blizzard, if this whole thing, hey, can you check this? I don't feel great about this whole giant company. But it's just going, no, Call of Duty, because PlayStation has and Sony has an invested interest in Call of Duty specifically.
I don't think it's the investment. I do think it's just it's usually the highest selling game or one of the highest selling games of the year.
But at the minute, Sony have what I would see as the deal that... Like, Sony already has this, though, right? Like, Sony has the deal with Call of Duty, where it shows Call of Duty's always got the best on PS5 or whatever. It's got exclusive content. Isn't that already dictating what consoles people buy?
It's pushing... It would definitely push some people towards buying PlayStation over Xbox, but... It doesn't limit.
I think it would do that just as much as...
Well, no, because if it's exclusive to Xbox, then it's not...
If it's exclusive to Xbox, then yes. Yeah. But at the same time, it's the same argument as Microsoft turning around and just be like, hey, why isn't God of War on my Xboxes?
Yeah, the argument about God of War is dumb, in my opinion. Like, the whole...
But it's the same. It's in the larger scheme of things, yes, Microsoft wants to buy it and purchase it. Once it's been purchased, they can do what they want with that title. I guess, yeah, you're trying to stop it, but...
And the other thing I don't have a problem with, because, again, there's an element of, like, business is business. Xbox saying that Sony is paying studios to not put their games on them. Yeah, literally...
No, that's 100%.
Yeah, like,
that is That is 100% yes, except for then it does pull the rug out of under Sony for being like, you already enter in practices that do the same thing. Like, you already you go out of your way in certain circumstances to make sure things don't end up on Game Pass to prevent people from buying, to prevent it or make it unlikely that people will buy consoles for that same reason. I feel like they already partake in
I guarantee, like, say something like Call of the Lamb, right? So not exclusive to Sony. Sony's had a partner marketing it and whatever else. I guarantee, like, part of that, like, if they had any sort of marketing deal with that, like slight indie push or anything like that, or any game similar to that where they've helped push it, or Stray or something like that. I don't know, like that's on PS Plus. I guarantee in all these contracts, it's like, all right, well, you can't put it on Game Pass for 6 months. You can't put it on Game Pass for a year.
Which is, it's understandable, and that's perfectly fair, but then Sony can't turn around and be like, Xbox, you can't do anything like that.
I feel like as long as Call of Duty is on both platforms, then yeah, I don't really...
And I don't see them. I don't see, like, this is one of those games, and I think Phil Spencer's already come out and said that there will be some form of Call of Duty on a PlayStation.
Yeah, but like, he also was saying, Bethesda games will be everywhere, and then I was like, no, Starfield's exclusive. Remember, and I went through all this where I said from the get go, there's no way that shit's going to be not exclusive. So
I don't see Bethesda, like, I don't see Skyrim not being exclusive, but I do like Call of Duty. I just think is a different.
Well, the next couple of Call of Duties have to be multi-platform because even once the deal goes through, they still have to do.
There's still a licensing. There's still an ongoing licensing deal.
But after that point,
I just feel like after that point, I still see. I don't know. Skyrim's one thing, and Skyrim / Oblivion, Elder Scrolls is one thing. There's too much money left on the table if you don't put it on the PlayStation. Just all you need to do is just write the ship in your favor, so you get all the exclusives that PlayStation previously got, and leave it at that.
Yeah,
put it on your Game
these
Pass
days it's not even like exclusive maps and stuff. It's literally like you get the DLC 3 days earlier on PlayStation.
Yeah,
like
100%, and you get to be on all the trailers, and your league is often played on. If it's going to be played on console, it'll be played on your console on the Xbox. It's just As a whole, it's just a better idea. I don't know. I don't think it's as big an issue as Sony makes it out to be.
All right, let's get into what we've been playing. As Dusk Falls, Kieran. This game is been in a bunch of Xbox conferences. It's got a very comic booky type art style. They kept talking about it being multiplayer and then not multiplayer, and then I eventually learned it's one of those games that you can play multiplayer where people play on their phones or whatever in the same room as you. Yes. Or I think you can do it online as well, which I guess is a plus. I think I haven't played it.
Yes, I believe so. I'm not 100% sure. No, you can because of the way the lobby is set up. So yes, you can.
So yeah, what is this game? Explain
it. So it is your story adventure game, much like a Telltale style game. Where you are playing through the lives of several characters, picking up choices. It is a Telltale game, but at the end of each section, you get the Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain style choice tree where you see how all your choices differed and how things led to other things and where it all connects and what other people chose and everything. It has a very interesting art style where the real world is like the world itself is in-game engine generated and like cars are as you would see in GTA and stuff like that. But the character models and the character art is all still drawn graphic novel, comic book style characters that appear on the screen and change. They don't have active facial movements and like fluid movements. They changed images, and it takes place about a family and two sets of families as they converge in a small town that leads to one of the families taking up guns and kind of leading a holdout in a motel after stealing from the local sheriff. And it goes from one step to another with everything involved. You play as characters from both families throughout, and you get to experience the moment to moment as each of the characters, but then also cutting back to different events in their past life and different moments throughout their kind of, I guess, the week that leads up to this moment. You can either play it by yourself or with friends. There is a companion app you can download for your phone and play. I have played through the first, I guess, quote-unquote episode or chapter with my friends as well as by myself, just to see how that goes. The game itself is very interesting. It's very detailed. It was surprising when there is a lot more to this game than there was ever advertised. The advertising of this game seemed to focus around the motel and this hold-up and the police being there and everything. This game goes a lot further beyond that moment. That moment is that is the first chapter of the game, and how the game moves forward and what characters move forward is completely up to you. I think it has a really interesting depth of character interaction. It tracks you how you play. There is a number of QuickTime events, but then also choices in your traditional this game's play style. And gives you moments of talking and levity. It is all-time decisions. There is nice settings in the options for you to change the amount of time you get to answer each setting or each question, or any of the timed events can go from 5 seconds to 20 seconds. Playing multiplayer is very interesting in this game because it goes off a voting system where everybody gets a vote to see what the character does for every single choice, pretty much. You press what you want your character to do. If all three of you pick, it then goes into a tiebreaker mode where you guys can pick again. If you don't agree on one eventually, it will then just randomly select from your choices that you picked, and it'll pick one at random. On top of that, there is also an override option that every player gets 3 overrides, where you get to say, fuck everybody else, we're doing what I've said for this option. And you override everybody else's votes and everybody else's choices and take the game in whatever direction you want to take the game in that moment. Which is very interesting. Say for QuickTime events, it can either be all of you doing the QuickTime event, and it is the greater majority. So say if there's 3 players, 2 out of the 3 players have to succeed at the QuickTime event. If 2 people fail, the QuickTime event fails. On top of that, every now and then in different QuickTime events, it'll have different people selected to do the QuickTime button in each moment. So one moment it could be player A, and then it could be player B, and it could be player C. So if you have a lot of QuickTime events where maybe one player is just resting on the other 2 to do it, and then shakes it up a lot and make sure everybody's involved and everybody has an active moment in the game.
Does that mean on your phone you just have to does it come up with buttons, or is it just
yeah, so it's literally got a space on your phone, and you either all the phones it's either press, either tap it, button mash it, hold it, right, swipe it in a direction. Gotcha. Or it's literally just that. Same thing on a controller. It is the phone actually works really well. You just have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi network as the game and be connected through to it. Everybody, you get your own profile. At the end of each scene, it actually gives you stats and data about different traits. This player, your qualities are you're more dedicated to being loyal to your family, or you're a cool under pressure. You don't rush your decisions and you take your time to pick. Or you're a fast one. You're an instant thinker where you're picking quickly in the choices. It's really interesting and really fascinating to see. The story plays out and it has a very good, in terms of differential, from playing by myself to playing with my friends. I took a bit more of a backseat in choices with my friends to let the game and the story be very different. Outcomes are very different. It's always interesting with these games when you have multiple playthroughs. Sometimes you just get the feeling of, no matter what I decided here, the exact same outcome's going to happen. That isn't the case with this game. There is a lot more potential for diversion and alteration in the storyline. So I only played it. Yeah, it is episodic or in chapters, which wasn't really explained. It's all available for you to play through. And it's actually very exciting to play. So I'm looking forward to one day with my friends, jump back into it when we're all available, and keep going. Or if that doesn't happen, just jumping back in by myself and playing through by myself.
Yeah, I kind of want to maybe get to it. I heard the story is pretty decent, so
story's really good so far. From what I've played, it's very interesting. There's a lot of depth to it, a lot of nuance in the character writing. Playing both sides of the character, both sides of the 2 families, is very interesting, with giving you kind of a layered understanding of each side in different ways and seeing them from different lights. It's actually really good. I would really recommend it, and especially being on Gamepass. Even if you only have a laptop, if you got Game Pass Ultimate or you've got the PC version, download it to your laptop, play with a bunch of friends on your phones. Like, you don't need controllers. Everybody could be on a phone if you wanted. I think it is actually a really good party mode game where you have to have a couple hours. I think we stopped with my friends because one of us was falling asleep because it was quite late at night. But yeah, overall it's a really good and enjoyable experience.
And then you said you'd played some of this Power Wash Simulator, which I've seen a lot of people talk about, and
yes,
say like it's like really like hits that.
It is all of the craze at the moment. Yeah. I guess in general, there's always been a different simulators to play, where it's your farming simulator, your goat simulator, cooking simulator, your car mechanic simulator. I think there's like a petrol station.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've seen half of those. I've seen this one actually on Twitter.
You've seen them. And so Power Wash Simulator, it's currently once again on Game Pass on both Xbox and on PC. I'm playing on PC. I just wanted a chill game to hang out with friends or just listen to music or do something that wasn't. You can play it co-op. Yep, it is 2 or 4 player co-op. There is a campaign where you get to pretty much. So before I go too far, the base of the game is just you have a pressure washing business, and you start by washing your van, and you learn about it, and you wash the different items. So you have to make sure everything's clean, and then you progress to somebody's backyard, a playground, somebody's dirt bike. You get all these different, like somebody's the exterior of somebody's house and doing the full exterior of their house. You get to earn money from doing different jobs. Every item you clean is a different dollar value. So you get to build up. You get to buy and upgrade your pressure washer. You get to buy extensions and different items for it. You get to buy your soaps, your different types of scrubbers and everything. And it is, how it's very satisfying, at least for me personally. It's very satisfying to see somebody pressure wash something. Where you go, you just you watch it like you watch something that's it has to be like very dirty. It has to be something that's very dirty that goes down into immediately clean. And that is the same kind of weird satisfaction you get from this game. I find it very therapeutic just to sit down and you go, okay, I'm currently working on this. I'm working on, so say for the playground, I'm working on the floor of the playground, and I'm also working on this section. And then you clean off that section, and that's extra bright and vibrant. I haven't been able to play this co-op yet, and I want to. I think it's from friends of mine who've also got Game Pass, so we'll be jumping in together. But it is just something to chill out, chuck music on, chuck a podcast on. Explosion Network makes a couple podcasts. You can chuck on one of ours and just clean and just hang out and just do something that doesn't take there's different nozzles and stuff. There's a lot of depth in actually quite to it, but it is chill. It is. Yeah, you can jump in and jump out. You can save it, go halfway through a wash and save it and just leave and come back later. No, it's actually really fun. It's not a new game. It's been out for a little while now, but yeah, available on.
I think it was early access and like for a year or so, and now it's only just properly released. So I think that's why.
Yes, I believe so too. Yeah. I think it's fairly new on Game Pass itself. So yeah, definitely something I would say if that's an itch you need to scratch, or it's just more of an ASMR and to kind of chill out game where you play some lo-fi and stuff. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
And then there was like a lawn mowing simulator thing. And I saw it's coming to PlayStation, and then 5-Star Games like PR.
Oh really?
Is putting that out, and they had run a thing last week where they had a stream going 24 hours for 5 days a week, where the stream was just on a pot growing grass, and then randomly in the stream they were posting codes for the game and stuff, but that's all it was for a week. It was just a stream of grass growing. I was like,
watching grass grow.
That's pretty good that's PR, I guess. I know, it was funny. Like, appreciate it. And then the last thing before we wrap up, you still on Marvel Snap, or you jumped off yet?
I've been looking back at it. I've jumped off at the moment. I know the new season just started as of late, like the new Game Pass and the Daredevil and She-Hulk and stuff pass just started. I think it's like the Street Heroes.
No She-Hulk yet.
No She-Hulk, but yeah, I did see that. I don't know. I think in a pass where it's like I either got to grind through. Like I put so many hours into this game already. I maxed out the battle pass. The last battle pass, I got to level 50. I feel the grind slightly annoyed me after it because there's still like extra levels of the battle pass.
It goes infinitely once you hit the point.
It goes infinitely, but getting the points for the battle pass is fucking impossible because it's only based on your dailies, which is like 25 to 50
No,
points
you get a small
each.
amount after every match.
Really?
Yeah. So after every match, you will get a tiny amount. So if you just like smash a bunch of matches.
Oh my god, I got all my gold back. That's pog.
Yeah, so all the gold you spent on.
Did you see that?
Yep. So I think I talked about it last week on the solo episode I did, but the Nexus event, they gave everyone all the gold they spent back on that, and they gave everyone the Jane Foster car for free.
Oh.
So they were like, our bad, we understand everyone hated the event. Here you go.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm at an interesting point. It was at a point where I was like in that weird stage between cards. Like, what's my collector level? 364. I was at the weird point with it where I was like, I need to be deeper into the second set to improve all of my decks enough to find progress. Like, I was just in this weird spot where I wasn't quite fixed to everything. I was still having fun. I probably will jump back to it. I think I've just been busy this week and not really had the time to stop and play a couple games every day. How about you? Are you still going with it?
Oh yeah, I'm play it every day. I don't think I've stopped since it released. So like it's just,
no, it was real bad. I think it's just been this week where I've just been chill.
I mean, look, it's not hard though because of the match. So like, I'd never want to. So like you have challenges drop every 8 hours, 6 hours or whatever it is. I think the max amount of challenges it lets you hold is like 6 or something. So
it used to be. So when I wake up, there'd be 3. 1 o'clock in the afternoon it resets, and 8 p.m. at night.
Yes, and it's the same for everyone, so you don't have to.
Yes, yeah.
But like, I just make sure that I never want to waste challenges. I never want like it maxed out at 6 or whatever.
No,
and then you know, there's been some days where I just quickly log on, do a couple like get 2 of them out of the way, and then go to bed because I know the 2 that happen at 1 will just like fit in or whatever.
I guess it's a good thing because it's promoting you to use other decks. But sometimes where it was like, you use a bunch of use this many 5-cost cards, and I'm like, I don't have 5-cost cards in what I'm currently running. Fuck, I better use something else just to get this through to just to get the challenge. And I think that ended up with me losing games because of it, because I wasn't as comfortable with those decks or I wasn't enjoying those decks as much. But overall, I think it's still pretty fucking great. Like I loved the cards sets and the variety that was in the game already. Like my move deck was really fun as long as I was thinking. I will say sometimes the game sucks if the common board type of the day doesn't suit what your playstyle is. Or if you just there are some games where it just is like, nah, this all sucks. Like just every tile sucks and it's just like, I may as well just bail right now. And it just sometimes just doesn't work out for you. I don't know. It's a very RNG thing. That is. I'm
just looking now. I'm at collection level 653.
Fucking hell! Yeah, I stopped. Yeah. Because I was ahead. The last time I checked in was when you guys were talking about it. I think 2 weeks ago now, and I was still ahead of you guys. So yeah, I've just dropped off. I've dropped off since I did the battle pass. Since finishing the battle pass, I have massively dropped off.
Yeah. So new battle pass. I'm only at level 10 on that, but it's got 23 days, so
yeah.
But I'll finish that. Don't you worry.
Shit, this battle pass is really not there for very long. It's like 20.
They're each like a month. That's it.
That's insane.
They do them for a month.
Man, that's $15 a month. They're making bank.
Yep. But so
God, I'm bronze again. Gross.
If you so you drop 30 ranks when they reset the season.
Ugh.
You drop 30. Yep.
Yeah, I was platinum.
I wasn't as cool as you. I don't know if this will change when the game's out of beta, but that's, I guess, what they're doing now. But, like, so I told Ash, because Ash hadn't brought the season pass, and it was, like, the last day and was recording Plat, and he was at level, like, 50-something, like, maybe 51 or 52.
Yeah,
and I was like,
just
buy it now, because, like, the amount of gold... So if you get to level 50, the amount of gold that you get out of it is more than $15 worth. So if you do max it, $15 is not wasted. However, if you pay $15 and you only get to like level 20, not worth it.
Yes, 100%.
It's only worth it.
I do wish it would be really cool, and I know some games do this, and maybe this is just, how the game wants to make its money, and that's fair enough. If I could use the gold to pay for the battle passes.
Yeah.
if I could use and then just keep wrapping around on the Battle Pass price, and just keep doing that instead of, it's what 750 gold for some of these card variants.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. I think I don't know when they're planning, and I looked over there to see if they've ever said, but I couldn't find anything of like if they have an idea of when this game will like fully release, like because it's not even out in America and beta yet. Like that's it's still a very small crowd. I mean, technically, you can just use a VPN if you live in America and like VPN to Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, wherever the fuck it's out. I can't remember, but it's still in beta, and I'm sure a lot will change by the time they fully release it. But just made sure to get my Marvel Snap talking because I fucking brought it up every week since release. So what's good? Right, that'll do it for this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Don't forget to go check out the 2 reviews mentioned at top of the episode. Check out explosionnetwork.com every day of your life nonetheless. Let us know your thoughts on anything we discussed this week. You can do that by tweeting at us or talking to us on Discord. explosionnetwork.com/Twitter takes you to our Twitters. explosionnetwork.com/Discord takes you to our Discord. Don't forget to head on over to twitch.tv/explosionnetwork where you can follow the streams because I don't know. I feel like I can officially say like I'm regularly streaming. I've been like keeping a semi-regular.
Yeah,
I'd say on
at least once a week.
I'd say once a week is sort of. I've been hitting that for the last couple months. So, follow, subscribe over on Twitch, of course. It's not all Pokemon cards. I do the Pokemon cards probably every now and then, but I play a little bit of everything. So, if you like the episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support. We can support us there. And until next week, same time, same catch. Have a great week, everyone.